I go through some twists and turns with this painting. Started out as one thing and sort of ended up as a different thing. Although the main bones of the painting are very similar to what I had in mind, and that's the hill, the sand, and the water. I took this reference photo on Pismo Beach on the coast of Central California. And you'll notice houses up on the hill, some twisted old branches, sand dunes, and some water in the foreground. Those are the main elements, although in the sketch I do show the houses. Later on in the process, I'll be taking those out and making some other changes to the painting as well. So let's start this one by putting in some darks. The darks in this area are going to be fairly warm down in here, and then as we get further back in the painting, the distant hill over here, these are going to be bluer, just for atmospheric perspective. So I'll mix up some Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Sienna first, leaning it towards the Burnt Sienna. That's fairly warm. Maybe a little bit more Ultramarine Blue in there. All my paints here are COBRA paints. They're water mixable by Royal Talons, and I use the water mixable modified linseed oil as a medium. So I've already got the burnt umber sketch in that I did on the canvas, toned with the transparent red oxide acrylic. So I kind of know where I'm going with my little map that I've put in here, my underpainting. I've got my sketch to view and my reference photo. So in this area here, there'll be some bright, dead branches kind of growing up out of the sand area down here. So this will be a nice backdrop for that. Good contrast. A nice green dark can be obtained by mixing Ivory Black and some Cadmium Yellow or yellow ochre. Then side by side you can see this is a greener dark. If you squint, it's close to the same tonal value. It really shows as green against that first dark I put in. When I have a color mixed like this, I want to use it everywhere I can find that might go. It increases the chance of unity in the painting. I need to mix up some more of a cooler dark here as I go back. This is a scene I like to walk by not far from another location that I painted, and that's the Dune Glow painting. If you want to look that up on my channel, you'll see that one. But that's, if you take this and you just turn this way a little bit, that's where Dune Glow is, and then this is looking further north, I guess, from where I was standing. So as we get further back, the darks tend to get bluer and lighter. All right, the next value I'm going to work on are the greens, the lighter greens, lighter than the dark greens that I have here. So it's more of the trees, maybe some of the grass areas or bushes. I guess there are bushes here, and some of the shrubs here, some greens and grays here. So what I'm going to do now is jump over to this side. Since I've got these colors mixed and I've been working on this side, I want to make sure that there's similar colors and tones and things like that over here on this side. Painting's not a straight line. I don't get an idea, sit down and watch something beautiful appear, at least not usually. I'll start with a vision in my head, a reference photo or sketch. Then I put paint on the canvas and think, well, that's not it. So I adjust, scrape it back. Maybe I'll stare at it for 3 days, walk away, come back, and suddenly there it is. There's a new idea or direction. The idea in my head or the reference photo are just starting points. The painting itself is a conversation, and sometimes it talks back, tells me it wants to go somewhere completely different. I think I have enough in this area now to put in the sky and cover up some more of this red oxide. My intent here is to keep the sky loose, keeping those brush strokes visible and fresh. It's always fun putting the blue on over this red. It just really vibrates. And I'm just going to throw in this dark in a few places. Maybe here and maybe down here a little bit. Then start grabbing some of the lighter and just start laying it in. I'm going to add more white to this. Lighten it up quite a bit as we go down towards the horizon. I want to make this sky kind of entertaining, but not so much that it pulls away from the other focal point of the painting, or the focal point. And as I mentioned before, I'm covering up my burnt umber sketch of the branches. I'll put those in later as the sky dries a bit. It'd be too hard to work around all those tiny little branches. And I'll bring this all the way down as far as I can, and then I'll have to, I've gotten rid of all of my darks. I guess I'll have to put some in if I want them. Then I'll have to come in and cut in with a smaller brush and try to maintain that loose brush look. Kind of cutting in around the trees, but trying to maintain that loose brush look. And then we've got the sky holes. Just got to be careful if I pick up paint from the trees, I need to wipe it off, so I'm not polluting the sky with too much. Although having a little bit of the green at the top there doesn't bother me too much, because it could just be lighter foliage with the light shining through. I find skies fun to paint. I enjoy them. Almost can't do any wrong with them. It's free painting it. I'm not trying to match anything, or other than just whether it's a cloudy day or clear day, that sort of thing. It's fairly white. I'm using a very light mix of that cerulean blue with the titanium white. Then the fun will begin with the introduction of that white with the yellow ochre. All right, so we'll just grab some of this white. I know that I want areas of white, of clouds, for instance, around where these branches are going to come up. Ooh, that's nice right there. Let's leave that alone. Good part of painting is knowing when not to touch something, so I will try not to touch that again. Can I increase that a little? Maybe pull it down. into this area. And lightly connect those. I think I need something big up in here. Maybe up in here. Leaving that dark area of blue. I'm going to grab some more of that yellow ochre so we have more than one place where it's found. I think I've got most of the darks in and the sky in. Now I'm going to continue working on the shrubbery area here. For the sand, there's a lot of different colors in there. It's going to be very warm. I think I've got the value that I'm looking for. I think for the upper part of the sand, the dune part of the sand, I want to go slightly warmer. This dark shadow that I put in is just not working for me, so I'm gonna kind of turn it into a shadow, but make it look more subtle. Change it up, and some more of that white sand mixture. Against my better judgment, I'm putting these houses in on the hillside. I'll eventually take them out. Now I want to get rid of the rest of this red down here. Keeping my brush strokes vertical to start with, and then coming in and putting the sky reflections and some highlights in horizontally. You may notice that the houses are all gone now. While I was putting them in, I had the feeling that they just weren't going to work. It was going to be too interesting, competing too much with the sand and then some of the limbs and things I'm going to be putting in later. Too much going on, the clouds. So I decided to bring it back to just a peaceful hill. I wiped the houses off best I could, and then I'm going to paint in the hill again. And the paints I'm using is the Cerulean Blue, the Yellow Ochre, and a tiny bit of white in this one. So I've varied the mix. I've got a warm and cool green, and then I've got a more of a blue-green here for the shade side of the hill. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. We'll see how it looks. I'm gonna start with this side. I'll be varying the color and brush strokes as I go. I kind of want to tie it in with what I've got there already. It's not a bad idea to try things, and I gave it a try and decided I didn't like it. The nice thing about oil paint as opposed to watercolor, you're doing it all over again. Rarely is there something that you can do to paint over or change. That's the fun thing about oil paint, is it gives you that option to make some changes. Change your mind, change the plan as you go. I'd like to smooth out a little bit of this area here, just to round it off some. Very lightly touching the brush to the canvas, then cleaning it off. Don't want to eliminate all the brush marks, but just to give it more of a three-dimensional feel. Next, I'm going to work on the dead branches that are detailed in here. Now let's add some Indian yellow to this, give us another hue. Using the edge of the brush, I can brush in some dead whatever, whatever that is. It's just another texture. Toothpick makes a great tool for making super thin, barely perceptible. You just kind of have to roll it as you pull it onto the canvas. Painting with a toothpick, I would call that details. There are a few things I want to do to finish up this painting. One is to add some balance to this side of the composition. I need to add something of interest. It's pretty monotone here in the mid-value range, so I'm going to add brighter trees maybe in here, and then carry some of that color over into a few spots in here. And then work on the water a little bit. I think just to add some of the darker tones, some stripes in here, just to create more motion in the water. Yeah, I think in here, I've already got a natural shape. Trying to use as large a brush as I can. I'm keeping in mind that the light is coming from this direction. It might be as simple as highlighting those, putting some more light on the edge of these trees here. Might not take much more than that. It's already feeling like it's pulling in that direction, so I think we're going in the right direction. This seems to make it pop out a little bit more. Since I'm putting eucalyptus back here, I think I'll do the same here. And they tend to have these long leafy limbs that hang down. It's characteristic of that type of tree. And I've pretty much departed from my reference picture. I'm just responding to what's happening on the canvas at this point. The reference picture got me started, but if you were to look at this and then compare it to reality, the location, you would look at it and think, what was he painting? It's nothing like that, but that's okay. That seems to end a little abruptly. I need to pull that down. Another really nice color is the blue color that these trees, I believe they're called blue gum trees, blue gums. Sounds like a dental issue. After living with this painting for a few days, I decided to make some changes to it. Something about the composition and the balance wasn't pleasing me. So I did make some changes off camera. So I'm turning the camera back on because as I made these changes, it decided to capture what I did and what I'm going to do. So at the bottom here, I added some more, just more noise, more lines, more darks to the water just to break it up, make it a little bit more lively and not turbulent, but more motion to it. This area here, I changed quite a bit. I took the white branches out over here. I covered it up with something, a bush or a tree or something, which I'll have to develop. And then added some rocks in here to break this line up. It was just too long. This line here is next. I think what I want to do is finish or take out these trees and finish this hillside with this nice green yellow color and develop that a little bit and keep these trees over here. This area here, I added more abstract marks with my palette knife and some brush work as well. I thought it needed to be a little bit more random and more chaotic for field, a natural field. It was a little too manicured looking, I guess you'd say. It's all a grand experiment here. It's the fun of oil painting. Maybe reducing the size of some of these trees will help too. I think in order for that to make sense, I need to have that same brightness over here. Let's grab a softening brush here. It's a badger brush. And we'll just kind of blend in a little bit here. It's okay if we go over some of the trees that were already there. Needs to trail off and get smaller as it goes back. this rock here needs some work. What I do is just soften the edge, have it sit a little nicer into the sand. Okay, I'm going to wrap this one up. I did make a lot of changes after I thought I had finished it before, but that's the way it goes with painting like this. At least with me it is. So what I did was I completely changed this area. As you notice from the reference picture here, this area here has mostly some trees, and there's actually some buildings in there. I took all the buildings out. There's no man-made structures at all in this now. So I took that out and put in an area of light, more of a flat area, and then a few little trees, or a few distant trees rather, in the background there, so that the light coming this direction is coming between these trees and this area here, which is more in the middle ground. So it's just another path for the light. And I threw in several rocks in here, try to keep them as loose as possible. And then took away a major part of the white dead limbs over here and kept these. So I think I'll stop with this and let it rest, and who knows, someday I may come back and do some more on it or start over. But anyway, thanks for watching, and if it's something you enjoy, please think about subscribing and giving me a thumbs up as well. Thanks, we'll see you in the next one.